My grandparents wanted to get something for my dad when he was a young boy, and they bought this bear for him, and it's a stiff bear, and he had it as a young child, and it was always very special to him.
I first came to the Holocaust Museum in 2007. I was a senior at George Washington University, and I had to do a paper on this time period. In the meantime, I had met the archivist, Rebecca.
My name is Becky Erbelding, and I'm a curator at the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. Eva came to the museum for the first time when she was in college. She was at GW, and she was working on a paper about her family story. So she came to the museum to do research.
We started to talk about what kind of records that we did have, and kind of the picture just came together.
The documents in the family's collection are actually fairly typical. I mean, they're kind of the average thing that you would expect a family to have. These were all things that they kept even with a limited amount of material that they were allowed to take with them from Vienna, because they needed that sort of thing to reestablish employment in the United States.
Then my husband and I moved to Vienna for 2 years. I went to school there, I learned the language, we visited where my grandfather used to live.
So we stayed in touch, and then eventually they decided not only to give us a box of documents related to their family story, but to give us Hans's teddy bear, which was very special to Eva and very special to her father, Rich.
The bear has been in our family. It was on their bed. I remember seeing it growing up and had a fascination about it.
Julius and Netty Butzke were from Vienna. They had one son named Hans. Julius worked as an accountant before the war, and Netty was a nurse. She had been a nurse in World War I and continued to work, even working in the Jewish hospital in Vienna up until the 1930s. As the situation got really bad in Vienna after the German takeover, the Butzke family decided to flee.
You know, it was a very difficult decision to leave everything, their way of life, their value, their friends and everything, to come across. But they're very smart because they saw it coming, and they were very fortunate to get out.
Hans, who was 11 at the time, took his teddy bear. It was a stiff bear.
And he had it as a young child, and it was always very special to him. And when they were getting ready to leave, when you came over, they were only allowed to have 2 suitcases. Not even 3, because there was 3 of them, but they only allowed 2 because he was a child.
So it was one of his only personal possessions that he was really allowed to bring. They couldn't take very much with them.
He carried the bear. They told him to hold on to the bear and don't let anybody take it from you.
Netty made sure that Hans would not lose track of his bear. Like, that was her command to him: do not lose this bear. And what Hans didn't know at the time is that Netty had torn the stitching out of the back of the bear's neck and had hidden some family valuables.
And they put whatever jewelry they had into it and sewed it up.
The bear was actually hiding some of the family's wealth, which would have been confiscated had the Germans known that the family was trying to take it with them.
In fact, he didn't know that until many years later, after they had settled in the United States, and they told him the story of what had gone on. He never even realized that.
You can still see it, actually. If you move the bear's neck, you can still see the place where the stitching had been removed and the stuffing. Lost a little bit of stuffing when they had to pull that out. So I think the tilt is because he's missing the neck stuffing.
We discussed, and we felt that this is a real good home for it.
When they added the bear, Eva had one request. She wanted a picture of her son after he was born with her grandfather's bear, Hans's bear with John, baby John.
We decided to name our son after my grandfather, so that he'd be in good hands, I guess.
Yeah.
So before they signed the deed of gift paperwork, actually donating the bear, our wonderful museum photographer Miriam took a series of portraits of baby John with Hans's bear. They were really wonderful. And we also got portraits of the entire family with the bear before they formally donated it to the museum. I think a teddy bear is such a relatable artifact. We all had teddy bears growing up, and the idea that a teddy bear is also a historic artifact, that it was used at one point to help a family survive, to allow them to bring material to the United States that could help them reestablish their lives, makes this teddy bear different and important.